Hall. And a couple things that you found out is that it's very important not to put false accusations out there because it sort of smear what the Muslim or Islam is all about. And I think people got to be educated about that.
Okay, well, we're going to come back to some other items on North Carolina, but a very key point you made about how the media puts ideas out there and withholds them, we're going to come back to that. We got some callers on the line and want to go ahead and get their questions and comments before we go back to our in-studio guest. Good morning, you're on Talkback. Your comment or question, please.
Yes, good morning, brother. How you doing?
Fine. Your comment or question, please.
Well, I wanted to make a comment on two things.
Yes, sir.
One was the health care. And, brother, I have health care. I have Blue Cross and Blue Shield through my employer. And for the longest, I have been, listening to, I guess this debate about health care. And being that I'm one of the fortunate ones that do have one, soon I'm going to drop my health care. And I guess I'm going to explain why quickly about my ideology behind that, which is...
And make sure you turn your radio down in the background because we have a 5-second delay and it's going to be real confusing.
Okay, well...
Okay.
My ideology is preventiveness. Is that I say that all of our illnesses that, especially in our community, brother, comes from diet, is what I believe. Which everyone who is in this discussion about health care does not talk about how can we get the word out to prevent all of these illnesses that our people are going through. So that's the reason, that's one of the reasons why I'm dropping my health care. The other reason is that it's too costly. It costs us about $300 a month. I try my best not to even go to the doctor because I believe that doctors do not cure anything. All they do is patch things up. So that's my ideology about the health care, that I wish that in this debate that it would be more campaigning as to educate our people on the dangers, sugar and salt. That if our people understood the dangers of sugar and salt, it would cut down on heart attacks, high blood pressure, diabetes, all of these little different things that we all say that we need health care and health care insurance for, just in case we come down with these things.
All right, well, thank you for your comments. We're going to go to another call. Good morning, y'all. Talk back. Your comment or question, please.
No. Well, that not happen. I mean, I'm in the local area, and a lot of folks are just turning down. People need help. It's like, I mean, my comment is that, I mean, a lot of people need health care, but we're not. It's like, what can we do about a situation where a lot of phones are being turned on, people are being turned away? Salvation Army, every time you go to one, there's not a phone. It's just that a lot of people are just not getting help. I mean, what can we do to get more help with services turning everybody down? Even social services were turning people away when they needed help for health care and things, food and things like that. So I want to know is, where can we find more phones to get help now? There a lot of people need more help, and a lot of phones turn a lot of people away and stuff like that.
Okay. Good morning. You're a third caller. Your comment or question, please.
My comment question is about the health care and the terrorist thing.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Oh,
please yes, please turn your radio down in the background, though, please.
Oh, okay. Okay, just a minute.
And again, if you call in, please be in a position to turn your radio down. We're on a 5-second delay, and certainly it's going to cause confusion for you if you're listening to your radio. And yes, sir. Go ahead. Your comment or question, please.
Not a question, a comment. Comment on the health care. I'm a 76-year-old male. Medicare and Medicaid. I'm satisfied with that, but I fight for this bill because there's so many people I work with. I'm an activist. I'm a community activist. And there's so many people in my family that I work with that don't have adequate health care. And I'm all for it and doing all I can to get some bill passed. Okay, that's urgent. The terrorist stuff, as a black, I'm not quite old enough to experience lynchings personally, but I very well know the history. And that was terrorism and still terrorism. For black people, terrorism has been going on since before they came out of slavery, really. We know terrorism intimately. So, there's nothing new here.
Okay, well, thank you for your comment. Good morning. You want to talk back your comment or question, please?
Yes, good morning. President Obama was in North Carolina a few days ago, a while ago, and I think he was here for the health care issue. And I think Purdue made it very clear that she wouldn't be able to meet him at the airport. And I don't remember seeing her at all during the time that President Obama was here. And he was here for a very important matter that you're discussing this morning. Glad to hear it. I'd like to know if anybody knows what she had going on that was so important that she can make herself available. And seemed like the very next day she's all over the news talking about a probation matter. I know it's a different thing, but I think we need to keep a close watch on the juvenile thing, about the juvenile records being sealed, because that could lead to a lot of other things. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your comments. Good morning. You're our last caller. Your comment or question, please.
Just want to congratulate you on your talk show. This is Representative Annie Mobley in Oscar, North Carolina.
Well, thank you, Representative Mobley. We're glad to know that you're listening and want to know if you have any comments you want to share with us about how health care is an important concern in the Ahoskie area and in your district.
No, I'm not in a position to comment on that right now. It was just appalled to know that you would be there, and I just want to congratulate you.
Okay, well, thank you for listening, and again, any information you want to send out over our program for your constituents, we'll be glad to help you in that matter. And we're going to go back now to our in-studio guests and talk about some of the comments you heard. You've heard people saying, calling in saying, community activists who say they are very much impressed with Medicare, as I said before in one of my comments, but at the same time, access, many people don't have the health care. We had another caller call in and say that he's going to have to drop his health care because the expense is so high, and he feels he can address his health care needs more by controlling his diet and health and lifestyles, and that's something that needs to be concentrated on more. And that comes back to our first caller, Ralph McKinney, who talked about the availability of health care and the plan that Congress is on, the percentage of their income that it takes to satisfy their plan versus the disproportionate amount of income it takes for regular Americans to satisfy the expense of their monthly health care plan cost. And so, Professor Powell, I'll let you jump in first and talk a little bit now. We're past terrorism and talking about what's happening with this health care issue, and we are going to deal with the state budget. I know you're looking at your watch saying time is money and being the bean counter that you are, but we're going to talk a little bit about health care and then come back and talk about that state budget, which has a big influence on it.
Well, first of all, I congratulate the community activists in terms of trying to make sure that other people are taken care of. I mean, I think that's a noble thing to do. The community activist said that, hey, 70-something years old, and that he's fine with everything, but he wanted to make sure that other people are taken care of. And if our public servants take that attitude, our Senator Burr and everybody else, in terms of trying to meet the needs of everybody, the community at large, then you can put in health policies and legislation that can alleviate the concerns.
Well, see, you stirring up a problem now because you talked about the health care issue being promoted by the 76-year-old community activist, and then you threw the senator who's a Republican in, and Republicans have a problem with those community activists, and so anytime you want them to take their cue from a community activist, a community organizer, as they would say, Obama, then it becomes a political fight. So we have to be careful about asking folks to take cues from political activists who are community organizers or community activists. We have to, they're a little sensitive about that issue. But let's come back and talk about that question of healthcare. And Dr. Roberts, while you get queued up here real quickly, I want to get your viewpoint on something. We talked about healthcare and some of